Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Talk and Thrive. Today, we're tackling a question a lot of people ask: is it too late to learn English?
Right. So many people feel like they missed their chance to learn English, especially if they're adults. But is that really true? Let's talk about it.
So Mia, have you ever met someone who said, I am too old to learn English?
Oh, all the time, especially adults who think learning a new language is just for kids. But honestly, I think that's a myth.
Yeah, I mean, kids do pick up languages fast, but adults have their own advantages. Like, we actually understand grammar and structure better.
Exactly. Plus, adults are more motivated. When you choose to learn something, you tend to put in more effort.
True, and with all the resources we have now, apps, YouTube, online courses, it's way easier than before.
Right. You don't even need to sit in a classroom. You can literally learn from your phone, anywhere, anytime.
But I get why people feel discouraged. Like, when you try to speak and struggle with words, it feels embarrassing.
Oh yeah, the fear of making mistakes is real. But honestly, even native speakers mess up their own language sometimes.
100%. And nobody expects you to be perfect. The goal is communication, not perfection.
Exactly. And you know what? The best way to get comfortable is to just use the language. Even if you make mistakes, keep going.
Totally. And I think people forget that progress takes time. Like, you won't be fluent overnight, but every small step counts.
Right. So if anyone listening thinks they're too old to learn English, forget that. It's never too late. You just need consistency and the right mindset.
Yep. If you start now, in a year, you'll be way better than if you keep waiting. So, what's stopping you?
Yeah, exactly. People always say, oh, I wish I had started earlier. But the truth is, the best time to start was yesterday. The second best time, right now.
Facts. And I think one of the biggest things stopping people is confidence. Like, they can learn, but they don't believe they can.
100%. Confidence is everything. And honestly, learning English isn't just about knowing words and grammar, it's about getting comfortable using it in real life.
Right. I mean, think about how people learn their first language. Babies don't start with grammar books. They just listen and repeat.
Exactly, and adults can do the same thing. If you just listen more, like watching movies, listening to podcasts, or even chatting with native speakers, it helps a lot.
Oh yeah, immersion is key. Even if you don't live in an English-speaking country, you can create your own English environment.
Yep, change your phone settings to English, follow English-speaking influencers, watch YouTube videos without subtitles, just surround yourself with the language.
And speaking of YouTube, let's talk about accents. A lot of people worry, what if I have a bad accent? What do you think?
Honestly, there's no such thing as a bad accent. Everyone has an accent. As long as people understand you, that's what matters.
Exactly. I mean, look at non-native speakers who are super successful business leaders. Actors, influencers, they still have accents, and nobody cares.
Right, and sometimes people actually find different accents charming or interesting. Like, have you ever met someone and thought, whoa, their accent is really cool?
Oh, all the time. And accents show where you're from, which is part of your identity. So instead of stressing about sounding perfect, focus on being clear.
Yes, pronunciation is more important than having a perfect accent. And honestly, even native speakers have different accents: American, British, Australian, and so on.
So true. Okay, let's talk about another excuse people use. I don't have time to learn English.
Oh man, I hear this one all the time. But honestly, if you really want to learn, you'll find time. Even just 10 minutes a day can make a difference.
Yep. Like, instead of scrolling on Instagram, watch an English reel. Instead of listening to music, listen to an English podcast.
Exactly. Learning doesn't have to be sitting at a desk for hours. It can be fun, casual, and part of your daily routine.
And let's not forget, making mistakes is part of the process. You have to mess up to get better.
100%. If you're not making mistakes, you're not learning. The key is to keep going and not be afraid to sound wrong.
Right. And the more you use English, the more natural it feels. You just have to start.
Exactly. So for anyone listening, stop overthinking, stop waiting, just start using English today. It's never too late.
That's the thing, people overcomplicate learning. They think they need the perfect method, the perfect teacher, the perfect time. But the truth is, just starting is the most important step.
Yes, perfectionism is actually what holds people back. Like, they don't want to speak until they're fluent. But how are you going to get fluent if you don't speak?
Exactly. And honestly, English is a weird language anyway. Even native speakers make grammar mistakes, use slang incorrectly, or forget words.
Oh, for sure. And English has so many weird rules, and then it breaks those rules all the time. Like, why is read past tense and read present tense spelled the same but pronounced differently?
Haha. Yeah, English is kinda chaotic. But that's another reason not to stress too much. If even the language itself is inconsistent, you don't need to be perfect to communicate.
Exactly. And another thing, people think they need a huge vocabulary before they can start speaking. But honestly,
Right. You can actually say a lot with just a few hundred words. Like, think about how little kids talk. They don't have a massive vocabulary, but they communicate just fine.
exactly. And most everyday conversations use pretty simple words. You don't need fancy, academic English to talk to people or express yourself.
Yeah, and honestly, even native speakers don't use complicated words all the time. I mean, when was the last time you heard someone casually say, like, meticulous or ubiquitous in daily conversation?
Haha, exactly. Most people just say very careful instead of meticulous. So if you know basic words, you can already communicate well.
Right. And there's always a way to say things in a simpler way. If you don't know the exact word, just explain it differently.
Yeah, like if you don't know the word for fridge, you can just say the cold box where you put food and people will understand.
Haha. Exactly. That's a great skill to practice, just describing things in simple words instead of getting stuck.
And honestly, that's how language learning really works. Even native speakers don't know every word in the dictionary. They just find ways to explain things.
Yep. So I think that's another fear. People need to let go of this idea that they need to know everything before they can speak.
100%. And speaking of fears, let's talk about embarrassment. So many people are afraid of sounding funny or making mistakes.
Oh yeah, I hear that all the time. Like, what if I say something wrong and people laugh at me?
But the truth is, most people don't care. And actually, a lot of native speakers appreciate it when someone is trying to learn their language.
Exactly. If anything, people respect the effort. I mean, think about it. If someone tried to speak your native language, would you laugh at them or would you try to help?
Of course, I try to help, and most people are the same way. If someone laughs, that's on them, not you.
Yeah, and usually people don't laugh to be mean. They just think it's cute or unexpected. But either way, who cares? You're learning.
Right, and if you make a funny mistake, just laugh with them and move on. Like, language is supposed to be fun.
Exactly. Actually, do you have any funny English mistakes you've made before?
Oh, definitely. One time, I was trying to say beach, but I pronounced it wrong, and it sounded like, you know, that other word.
Oh no. Ha ha. That's a classic mistake.
I know, right. But honestly, after that, I never forgot the correct pronunciation. So mistakes can actually help you learn.
Yeah. Sometimes embarrassing moments make words stick in your brain forever. It's like a free lesson.
Exactly, and the more mistakes you make, the faster you learn. It's proof that you're trying.
Yep. It's all about mindset. If you see mistakes as failures, you'll be scared to try. But if you see them as part of the process, you'll improve so much faster.
100%. And another mindset shift that helps. Stop comparing yourself to others.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. Like, everyone learns at their own pace. Just because someone else is improving faster doesn't mean you're doing badly.
Exactly. Some people might have more time to practice, or maybe they've been learning longer than you. Comparing yourself just makes you feel bad for no reason.
Right. The only person you should compare yourself to is past you. Are you better than you were last month? Last year? If yes, then you're winning.
Yes, and even if progress feels slow, remember learning a language is a marathon, not a sprint. You're still moving forward.
Yep. And consistency is way more important than speed. Even if you only practice 10 minutes a day, that's still 70 minutes a week.
Exactly, and over time, those minutes add up. Small steps every day are better than studying for hours once a month, and then forgetting everything.
100%. And also, let's not forget learning English is not just about studying. It's about using the language in real life.
Yes, reading grammar rules is helpful, but if you never actually use English, it's going to be hard to improve.
Right. That's why I always tell people speak as much as possible, even if it's just talking to yourself in the mirror.
Haha, I do that all the time. Or thinking in English, like when I'm making a to-do list or deciding what to eat.
Yes. Thinking in English is such a good habit. It helps you get used to forming sentences without translating in your head.
Exactly. And also, writing, even if it's just journaling a few sentences every day, it really helps.
Oh, for sure. Writing forces you to organize your thoughts, so it helps with speaking too.
Yep, and another fun way to practice, singing along to English songs.
Oh, that's a great one. Music helps with pronunciation, rhythm, and even picking up slang.
Yes, and when you sing, you don't have time to overthink, you just go with the flow.
That's actually a great point. Overthinking is one of the biggest barriers to learning English.
100%. People get stuck thinking about how to say something instead of just saying it.
Yep, and the best way to stop overthinking, just speak, even if it's messy, even if it's not perfect. Just get the words out.
Exactly, and remember, mistakes mean you're learning. If you never make mistakes, you're not pushing yourself enough.
Right. So for everyone listening, stop waiting, stop overthinking, just start speaking and practicing today.
Yes, and also, don't be afraid to talk to native speakers. I know it can feel intimidating, but most of the time, people are super friendly and patient.
Definitely. A lot of people think native speakers will judge them, but honestly, most of them don't even care if you make mistakes.
Right, and actually, some native speakers don't even know their own grammar rules, so you don't need to stress about speaking perfectly.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, ask a native English speaker to explain the difference between past perfect and present perfect and watch them struggle.
Haha, exactly, because they learn it naturally, not by memorizing grammar rules. And that's why learners should focus on using the language, not just studying theory.
100%. Okay, so let's say someone is listening right now and thinking, okay, I want to start improving my English, but I don't know where to begin. What's the first step?
I'd say the first step is exposure. Start surrounding yourself with English, watch movies, listen to podcasts, follow English-speaking influencers. Just get used to the sounds of the language.
Yes, and I'd add, don't just passively listen, but engage with the content. Like, repeat sentences, try to mimic pronunciation, even pause and try to guess what comes next.
Ooh, that's a great tip. Shadowing is another good method where you listen to a sentence and repeat it right away, trying to match the pronunciation and rhythm.
Yes, that really helps with speaking naturally. And I think another good first step is learning common phrases instead of just individual words.
Right, because real conversations don't happen word by word, they happen in chunks. Like, instead of just memorizing good, an idea, it's better to remember the whole phrase that's a good idea.
Exactly. And also, learning useful expressions like, how's it going? Or, what do you think? Stuff people actually say in everyday life.
Yep, and another thing when you learn new words, try to use them immediately. Don't just write them down and forget about them.
Oh, that's so important. Like, let's say you just learned the word excited. Try making your own sentences with it. I'm excited for the weekend. She was excited about the trip. The more you use it, the faster you remember it.
Exactly, and if you don't have anyone to practice with, talk to yourself. It sounds weird, but it really helps.
Haha, I do that all the time. Like, when I'm cooking, I'll describe what I'm doing in English. Now I'm chopping the vegetables. Now I'm boiling the water.
Haha, yes, it forces you to think in English, and that's how you start making it a natural habit.
Yeah, because the goal is to stop translating in your head. The faster you think in English, the more fluent you become.
Exactly, and speaking of thinking in English, let's talk about mindset again. Because I think a lot of people give up too soon.
Oh, definitely. Some people start learning, but after a few months, they say, oh, I'm not fluent yet, and they quit.
Right, but fluency takes time, and the people who improve the most are the ones who keep going, even when it feels slow.
Yep, it's all about consistency. Even if you feel like you're not improving, if you keep practicing, one day you'll look back and realize how far you've come.
Yes, and sometimes progress isn't obvious. Like, maybe you don't feel more fluent, but suddenly you understand a movie without subtitles, or you have a conversation without struggling.
Exactly. Those little moments are proof that you're improving, even if you don't notice it right away.
Yes, and actually, that's a good reminder to celebrate your small wins. If you learn a new word, if you successfully order food in English, if you finish reading an article, those are all achievements.
100%. The more you celebrate progress, the more motivated you will be to keep going.
Yep, so if you're listening and you're learning English right now, give yourself some credit. You're already doing something amazing.
Yes, the fact that you're even listening to this podcast means you're putting in the effort, and that's awesome.
Exactly, so don't worry about being perfect. Don't worry about learning fast. Just focus on enjoying the process.
Because at the end of the day, learning a language should be fun. If you make it feel like a boring school assignment, you won't stick with it.
Right, find ways to make it exciting. Watch shows you love. Talk about topics you're passionate about. Even play games in English.
Yes. And one last thing, don't be afraid to make English part of your identity. Like, instead of saying, I'm learning English, start saying, I speak English.
Ooh, that's such a powerful mindset shift. Because when you see yourself as an English speaker, you'll be more confident using it.
Exactly. So no more saying, I'm bad at English or I'll never be fluent. You're already on your way, just keep going.
Yes, keep going, keep practicing, and most importantly, enjoy the journey.
Exactly. Learning a language isn't just about memorizing words and grammar. It's about living the language. The more you integrate English into your daily life, the more natural it becomes.
Yes, and that's why immersion is so powerful. You don't have to move to an English-speaking country to immerse yourself. You can create your own English environment wherever you are.
100%. Like, change your phone settings to English. Follow English-speaking creators. Join online communities where people chat in English. Make it part of your daily routine.
Right. Even simple things like reading comments on social media in English or Googling things in English instead of your native language can help.
Oh, that's a great tip, because sometimes people separate learning English from their normal life. But the best way to learn is to mix English into the things you already do.
Yes, if you love cooking, watch English recipe videos. If you like gaming, play games in English. If you're into fashion, follow English-speaking fashion influencers. Make it fun.
Exactly. And I think another big key to improving fast is speaking as much as possible. A lot of learners spend too much time studying and not enough time actually talking.
Oh, for sure. Some people think, I'll start speaking when I'm ready. But the truth is, you'll never feel 100% ready. You just have to start.
Yes. It's like learning to swim. You can read books about swimming, watch videos about swimming, but at some point, you just have to jump in the water.
Haha, exactly. And the more you speak, the faster you improve. Even if it feels awkward at first, you'll get better way faster than if you just study in silence.
And don't worry about having a strong accent. Accents are normal. They show where you come from, and they don't stop you from communicating.
Yes, a lot of people are scared of having an accent. But honestly, English has so many different accents: American, British, Australian, Indian, African. Even native speakers sound different from each other.
Right. And as long as people understand you, that's what matters. Having an accent isn't a problem, it's just part of your identity.
Exactly. And honestly, sometimes accents can even make you sound cooler. Like, people love French or Italian accents in English.
Haha, true. And accents often make people more interesting. Plus, in the global world we live in, most people speak English as a second language, so accents are totally normal.
Yes, and actually, I think that's an important point. English is not just for talking to native speakers. It's an international language.
Oh, for sure. Most English conversations in the world are between non-native speakers, like a Japanese person talking to a Brazilian or a German talking to a Thai person.
Right. So instead of thinking, I have to sound like an American or a Brit, just focus on being clear and confident in your own English.
Exactly. And confidence comes from practice. The more you use English, the less nervous you'll feel.
Yes, and one of the best ways to gain confidence is speaking with real people. Whether it's joining an English club, finding a language partner, or even just commenting on YouTube videos, put yourself out there.
Right. And if you don't have people around you to practice with, there are so many apps and websites where you can connect with other learners or native speakers.
Yes, there are language exchange apps where you can talk with people from different countries. You help them with your language, and they help you with English. It's a win-win.
Exactly. And honestly, making friends in English is one of the best motivators. When you have people to talk to, learning stops feeling like a chore and starts feeling natural.
Yes, and the more you connect with others, the more you start thinking, wow, English is opening so many doors for me. It gives you access to new friendships, new cultures, new opportunities.
100%. English isn't just a subject in school, it's a tool for life. It can help you get a better job, travel more easily, meet new people, and just experience the world in a bigger way.
Yes, and that's why it's never too late to learn. No matter how old you are, no matter how much English you know right now, you can improve.
Exactly. And remember, learning a language is not about reaching perfection. It's about progress. Just keep going, and you'll be amazed at how far you can get.
Yes, keep learning, keep practicing, and most importantly, have fun with it.
Exactly. Learning English is a journey, not a race. Just take it step by step. Enjoy the process, and don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Yes, mistakes are proof that you're learning. And honestly, the only way to truly fail is to give up. As long as you keep going, you will improve.
100%. So, if you're listening right now, remember it's never too late to learn English. No matter your age, no matter where you start, you can do this.
Yes, and we believe in you. So keep practicing, keep speaking, and most importantly, have fun with it.
And hey, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow our podcast.
Yes, and share it with a friend who's learning English too. The more, the merrier.
All right, that's it for today. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye, guys. Keep practicing, and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.